Hello everyone, this is Ian Schaefer here with UDA Technologies. I'm one of the senior product specialists today, and our focus is going to be on document management modernized. We're going to be taking a look at some of the great features that are available in the new Construction Online interface, and we're going to be focusing on how this is going to completely change how you work with documents and features on a web-based project management system. Again, joining me today, we have Jordan Davis, one of our other product specialists.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here.
And we also have Sydney Dorsey, another product specialist, and hopefully most of you guys have had a chance to work with her on getting started as well. She's going to be fielding questions today. So if you guys do have questions, take a look at that GoToWebinar panel. You'll find an area on there marked questions, and let them fly. Now today is probably going to be a fairly quick webinar. Our expectation is that since most of the document management has been made so easy to use and intuitive, that we'll be able to kind of fly through some of these things. So we'd love to see the questions coming through if you guys have them. Otherwise, let's dive in. Now, of course, to begin with, just to give you guys a little bit of background on what we're looking at here, this is going to be all focused around the new navigation for Construction Online. This, of course, is the third in the series of webinars that we're hosting today. And the new Construction Online is kind of the modernized or the overhauled version of what we have had available now for almost 11 years, I think. Construction Online was first produced or made available to you, our customer base, in late 2008, I believe it was, or early 2009 perhaps, so maybe 10 years. And what we're looking at today is a complete re-envisioning for this already successful product. We've got somewhere in the neighborhood of about 650,000 users in the platform now, managing about $75 billion worth of projects every day. And today we're going to take a look at how to keep up with all the contracts and the documents and the paperwork and everything else that kind of goes along with these massive, massive projects to make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. Now again, as we're looking through this, we'll kind of be stepping from place to place, and where we're starting today is actually in the overview for the company as a whole. Now, when you first log into your Construction Online account, you go straight into the company overview, and from this company overview, you're going to find a recent files and photos section so that you guys can see all of the information and the documentation that's being uploaded to all of your different projects across all the different jobs or aspects that you guys might be working with, even some that are actually going to be showing up in the area in Construction Online that is effectively my documents or my files. So in the main overview, this is everything. And it takes us first into what we're referring to as a file stream or a photo stream, where you can actually see all the documents showing up with the most recent at the top, and then going back through time as you scroll down through your list. You'll actually see, of course, the history for the updates and the file additions and everything like this. Or if your team is out on a job site taking pictures or snapping photos of the project and the work that they're completing, you'll actually see those progressing through the history of the job. Now, this photo stream is an excellent way for you to see that, or to capture that information, to see who's touching the job, what detail or depth they're providing at every different point. And all this information is, of course, available both from the overview or from specific projects, and we'll take a look at that as we dive in. Now, before we get there, of course, there's a couple of key parts on this overview to kind of touch base on. Just like with any of the other sections or features within Construction Online, we do have some filter options up here in the top right corner, so you can see files or photos that were uploaded from a particular staff member or a TeamLink member perhaps. You can also adjust your time frame to make it a little easier to capture what you're looking for there. You'll also be able to go from here to see how these files are used in some of the areas like project tracking or communication, where they may be attached to RFIs or submittals or calendar activities or to-dos. As you kind of step into and take a look at some of the various different features, you'll actually see some of the attachments showing up down here as well. And we'll talk about getting those attachments in place here in just a few moments. Now, of course, all this information is going to be connected together. And as you guys are working your way through the system in the platform, you'll see almost all of this information, again, showing up for the admins in the recent files and photos section. Or for some of you, you may also have a stash of local files as well. Now, this area here for my files, this is going to be all the documents or the templates that you guys may need to reuse from job to job. Now, project templates can have a lot of this information built in too, but what we're looking at here is an area where you may be able to find some of those key files like safety manuals or incident reports or anything that might just need to get used job by job that you might need to pull into a project, and we just need a helpful place to store them all. Now, of course, you'll find most of those here, and what's nice about my files or my documents is you can always go through and add new photos, new folders or new albums as you're working with it here. From the new menu, you'll also have an option to add a new upload, but one of my favorite parts about the new Construction Online interface is the ability to just take files and photos and just drag them and drop them into the page. So this is one of the major new additions with Construction Online. Whenever you're pulling some of these files or photos in, they work almost instantly. You can immediately see the results. It's got the little tracking bar down there on the bottom, and for all of your documents or files, you can just open them up and work with them right here. Now, of course, as you're working with files or photos or pretty much any other aspect of the job, almost all that activity is going to happen within the project. So as you open up and work within these jobs, let's navigate to one of our projects here, Lot 1 Creekwood Country Estates. Most of you guys will probably recognize this because this is one that we go to fairly regularly. In this project, it takes us first to the overview screen where you can start to see some of this activity. Once again, including a latest project activity or a history down here at the bottom. Also, a stream of information. Most recent up at the top. As you scroll back through time, you'll notice that the times are going back further and further and further. Again, most important things to pay attention to are always going to be at the top of the list so that we get that good recap. Now, from here, you'll also be able to see some of the core additions for a lot of the features available within Construction Online. But of course, one of the things that's missing here are those files or photos. And this is, again, primarily because those are contributions that everybody needs to have available to them at any given time. It's not a checklist of features like you'll see in most of these. Now, this is important, though, because everybody is going to be interacting with that, which means everybody needs to be structured first on the team correctly. And to do that, we can shift over to the team function. Now, this is where you can go into your projects and define who's involved with this job. As we took a look on Friday, you'll know that we have various different portals or access points for various different team members to be included. Our company contacts are going to come straight to Construction Online or open up the Construction Online mobile app. They'll be able to log in and see all the projects and all the files that you've shared with them based on the level of company permissions. You can adjust this, of course, just by hovering over the contact and click on the little gray button here to get into and manage permissions for any of your non-admins. Admins, of course, just have access to everything. There's no restricting or including. They just have all the details. Now, beyond that, you'll also have client link contacts and team link contacts as your next two primary contributors on projects. Now, team link is going to be an important one. These are all the subs or the vendors, basically anybody who's working on the project that you're going to be paying for part of the process on the job. All of these contacts will be added as team link contacts, and they're going to need to have access to, again, specific documentation. Maybe it's the plans as a PDF that you've uploaded so that they can download and bid, or the RFQs or the bid request forms that you guys may be including for them as well. The customers, on the other hand, are going to want to have regular access to things like their contract or reports that you might have shared. And of course, because there are customers in this case, they're going to want access to that at the strangest hours. They're going to be calling you at like 10 o'clock at night because they remembered something happened and they want to reach out to you or something like that. Construction Online resolves the need for that because all this information is going to be available to them online, and you can see this when you step over into Files and Photos. Now, the Files and Photos sections, this is where we can start to see all of the documents get put together in a smart way. And to answer some of the questions that are already coming in, the amount of space available or the amount of files and content that you can upload are going to be based off of the package that you include. And for any of the questions about security or encryption, we'll take care of those after the regular webinar. We'll handle that question at a later date too. But do know that all this information is stored securely and encrypted on an Amazon server that we have hosted. Well, I can't really tell you where it's hosted because that kind of defeats part of the security or the encryption portion. But know that all of this information is available securely through our partnership with Amazon. And again, for the size question, take a look at your current Construction Online plan. We outline all of the amount of storage that you guys have there. If you guys are interested in upgrading your storage, just give us a call. I'm certain that Sydney will probably share our contact information a number of times, or at least I hope so. And you can reach out to us by phone or email or, again, as you like. Now, kind of pulling it back into files and documents. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to have effectively 3 groups that are going to be working with us on these projects. We have our company employees, our staff members. We'll have the client link members and the customers. And then we'll have team link members, or subcontractors, vendors, consultants, maybe an interior designer if we have one on a job. They typically all fall under that team link category, depending on how we choose to give them access. Now, in this case, as we're adding this information, we're uploading files and photos, again, keep in mind that uploading documents is very easy, extremely straightforward now. With the new Construction Online, if you have files that you'd like to add, simply come into and highlight those files, drag and drop them into the project here under the All Files section, and they get added right in. Now, as an extra bonus in this case, you have the ability from the new menu to create new folders or new albums here as well. These folders and albums will show up at the top of your list, typically. And in this case, it doesn't really matter too much which view you're using. I personally prefer a grid view. If you prefer just an itemized or a detailed view like this one, in either case, you have all of your albums first, your folders second, and the loose files third. Now, given the options in this case, I highly recommend creating folders and albums for sharing information, because with these folders and albums, you can do a number of different things. Now, along those lines, Jordan, you and I were actually having a discussion about this earlier. I find there's 2 camps of people. You've got some people that like to upload all their files and then copy them over to TeamLink, where you can see them over in the TeamLink section here. And then you've got another set of people, another group, who prefers to have all your folders set up so that you don't have to do these extra steps. And it just creates this live link. Jordan, why don't you take a moment to tell them which one you prefer and why it's so important, or why it's a huge decision for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't want to say, for instance, that the copying option is the lesser of the 2 options, but for me, there's 2 elements of a live linked folder that's just really convenient for me, and what I found is convenient for my clients as well. I typically recommend using the share option, which you can see on these folders here. There's different icons. We can see that the album customer photos has been shared via client link, which means that this is a live folder, and the subcontract folder here has also been shared as a live link with our team link users. Now, what this lets us do is that anytime we put a new file or photo into these shared and linked folders, they will immediately become available over in the corresponding linked section. As you can see now, we have 3 new items. Now, the huge benefit here is that there's no question for whether or not the files have been shared with your client or with your subcontractors. If they're in that folder and that folder link is turned on, then we know, okay, great, the files have been shared, the photos have been shared. Now, there is an argument to be made for a little bit more control if you are manually copying the files across, which is actually very easy to do as well. Ian, if you come back, would you mind showing how you could copy, say, the contract folder if we wanted to copy those items across to share with the client as well? Yeah, it's pretty simple. I've just found over time, though, that turning on the live link or the shared folder options is just much more convenient. You skip this step. It's dynamic. It's much easier to keep up with when you're juggling, let's say, 10, 15, 20 jobs as your company continues to grow and scale.
And we do actually have a couple of questions or comments coming in regarding this feature as well, this function for creating that live link. And most of them are already kind of focusing in on some of the pros and cons of this process. Now, one in particular says, do I have to share it with all TeamLink members, or can I pick and choose? Now, this is the beauty of Construction Online. You've got both of these options available, and they each serve a slightly different purpose. Now, what we're looking at here by creating this link for, let's say, the subcontractor folder here, this subcontract folder is immediately available for all of our subs on the job. And so in this folder, I would create or I would add or include documents that I want all of them to see. Now, again, this might include things like the blank bid request form so that they can fill it out and submit it back to me. This might include, in this case, maybe a copy of the plans or some additional documentation, a current plan for the job, whatever it may be. These are things that I want all of them to see, and by sharing it in TeamLink like this, all of them immediately have access to it. Now, where this is a little bit different for the copied files is, first of all, this folder being shared in TeamLink is available to all subs, but not all subs can immediately see each other just because it's shared. What this means is all of them have access to it, none of them know the other people are on the job. This is critical for bidding, because what we're looking at in this case is a way to isolate these bids that we're receiving so that we don't have to worry about collusion. This is, again, very important. We've considered this from a number of different angles, and we want to make sure that they can't see each other until you add them to it. Or, strike that. Not until you share that contact information for anybody else that might be on there. And that could happen through schedules, perhaps, or a contacts list that you share with everybody once the bids are awarded, whatever it may be. Until you physically share it, none of that information is going to get shared between subs. And again, to further limit what each contact is going to be able to access, if we come back to all files, when you do copy these files over to Client Link or Team Link, you'll be able to pick an individual to share them with. Like here, if we decided to copy this proposal to Client Link and only make it available for our customer on this job, we could just select files only visible to Glenn instead of everyone, and that way only Glenn on this job can see this document. Again, it's an easy way to limit who can see what, and most of these folders that you're sharing up top are for global documents on this project. As long as you keep that in mind as you're creating these folders and doing things like these are all the contacts that all my clients can see, these are the folders that all my subs can see, these are the contracts that only we can see, it's an easy way to kind of keep these defined or clearly separated as we're working through it.
It's also really easy to review what documents, photos, albums, so on and so forth, that you've shared with different individuals within the project as well. All you have to do, for instance, is take a look under, say, Client Link files, and we'll quickly be able to see what we've shared to everyone, whether this is on the client's page or if we switch over to Team Link, it would show us files available to all of our subcontractors or Team Link users. And then we can scroll down, and as people are added to different parts of the project as more or different Client Link users or different Team Link users, we would start to see files that only they have access to in this list as well. So it helps you really quickly identify who has access to what right now, and do we need to make a change to that? And if we do, all we'd have to do is remove their access to it. Simple as that.
You'll also have the ability in this case, as we talked about on Friday last week, to go into and preview what they're able to see and access. Once again, this just gives you an easy way to log in as if you were that person or that contact, regardless of their access, and see what they see to make sure that you haven't overshared or undershared, depending on what you're looking for. So the previews work spectacularly well. You have the option to go into and see all of the different file or folder structure here as well. Both of these things working together can help you paint a better picture for everybody that you have included on these jobs. Now again, as we're building up this history of information, keep in mind that you can create folders and potentially subfolders as needed. So here, if we click into the contract folder for myself and my team, we could actually create another subfolder. At which point, this is, once again, still for just me and my team. And as we go through and move files around, not the folder, just the files, we can just drag them and drop them into the appropriate place as we work from here. Now, again, as you're working in this case, you have what we refer to as the breadcrumb trail up at the top. This works just like in Windows. You've got a file path or a folder path effectively. So as you kind of drill down into some of these specific locations, you'll see that we're in additional images, which is in the contract folder, which is in my project, Lot 1 Country, Creekwood Country Estates. Why did we choose that name? It's a bit of a mouthful. But as you're working through this, of course, you can easily kind of step back to the what we'll call the root, and you can kind of go forward back into those folders. Just double click to get into them, or you can, I suppose, right click and open them up or anything like that if you guys want to. You'll also see me moving the files around fairly often in here. Most of that file movement is just click and hold, drag it, drop it into the folder. Again, same exact way as you guys are accustomed to working with it in Windows. Now there's a couple of questions here about the icons on the folders and albums. Again, this is a quick reference. You'll notice that the icon here for the key matches the key icon for your client link files. This is just a quick indicator letting you know that this folder has been added to our client link files section in that live link. If you guys do decide to expand this out into the detailed view, it tells you that in a little bit more depth. If you guys need to turn that on, simply right-click on these folders, edit the folder itself, go to the options, and you can check the box for which one you would like to share them with. The icons show up accordingly. Now, again, in this case, this particular folder we don't need to share with everybody, so I'm going to go back in and turn it back off again. Now you have the option to make it private as well if you like. If you follow along with this, the folder is only available to the creator for that folder, not to everybody. So this is a way to kind of keep some of the documentation safe for just you or your admins without having anybody outside of the company see it or access it. Now if you do have other folders that you don't want to make private per se, but you do want to, I should probably click OK and not cancel on that. You also have the ability though to come in and set permissions for your folders as well. And from here you can choose what level of access, or if any, each of your company users has. This is specific to company users though, because you may have certain areas where you do or don't want certain staff members to see it. Maybe, again, if we're talking about incident reports, maybe that's just for you and your project managers, not for,
the extended team.
Yeah, like a general carpenter out on the job site. He doesn't need to know that when we were pouring the foundation, one of the guys tried to pour himself into the foundation. Might be less important there. Maybe it's not. I don't know. That's up to you guys and your team, but in this case, you have the granularity to choose how deep or shallow you want those levels of permissions to go. Again, plenty of structure, plenty of options in this case. Now, in addition to just creating your folders and your files, this gets all the information into Construction Online, and everybody has the ability to get in there and use these documents right now. This is all of this options, all of these features that we're looking at are available already in Construction Online New. But most of this information is going to be accessible only when you log into the account. And of course, as you guys all know, and as we're well aware, there's a lot of contacts that we want to be working with that don't necessarily log into and work with the system as much as we want or as often as we'd like. Now, we try to make it as easily accessible as possible. This files and folder system that we have in place here, it's available through the Construction Online mobile app. So if you guys don't have that, go to the Google Play Store or into your App Store. Download it, Construction Online, all one word. It has a little icon that looks kind of like this up top, except that it's just the white C and the orange O. You'll know it when you see it. Log in and grab it if you like. That gives you and your team access. We also have an app that's designed for the portals, for Client Link and Team Link users, that would give them the ability to go in there and do it. And for the people who don't want to log in, you can send them a link to the file by right-clicking on it and selecting the share option from here. Now, what sharing allows you to do is it allows you to send the link via email to make sure that the file can be made available to somebody who doesn't want to log in. Now, I find that this is really, really important for those of us who are working with maybe older clients that don't remember all of their passwords, or perhaps we're working with a GC that doesn't want to log into this platform as well as their own. No problem. This gives you the ability to send out a file link that they would be able to access. They can click it and download it, and you'll actually see in the history what they're doing exactly that. So we track that link to make sure that you are updated to let you know whenever somebody does grab one of those files. They will have to download it though. So again, keep in mind, if you're sending them an email like this, they'll be downloading these files rather than just previewing them. And so if you're working your way through this, they'll have that history of all the information that they need to use as well. So we've even thought of this. Even the people who don't want to get into the system and take advantage of these great features, we've got an answer for them too. So right-click, share that file, and you can send them a link as they need it. Now, when it comes to using this, all of these different files, the folders, the documents, all the information is going to be available in there. Your subs and your clients, that for them is pretty straightforward. They'll log in as themselves, they'll come in and open up one of these files, and it's great. They'll get a preview, they'll see everything that's going on. Again, it's fantastic and gives them everything that they need. If they're uploading, they'll do the same thing that we do. They can just drag and drop it in. It'll be dropped into their special Team Link section where they have their own folder. It's not shared with all subs or Team Link members. It's just between them and you. So you'll be notified that those files are being uploaded. Most of that, by the way, those notification settings are available in your notification settings section. So come in here and take a look. I personally recommend setting up your email notification to just give you a digest email every few hours. That way you can get one at maybe lunch to see everything that's happened in the morning, and one after you're done with work to see everything that's happened afterwards. Or maybe once a day or something like that as well. Again, adjust these accordingly. We have some Construction Online users that prefer to get an email notification after everything happens. Every time a file gets uploaded or opened or downloaded, they get an email notification. For me personally, that's a little overkill. So I like my digest emails, and I'll use those accordingly. Again, if you want to set these, go to your drop down from the company up in the top right corner and choose notification settings to adjust the frequency of those emails. And as we move through some of the additional information here, again, your customers can upload and download. Your subcontractors or Team Link members can upload and download. And when we say that it's shared with all Client Link members or Team Link members, bear in mind that they still have to be on the job as part of the team in order to have access to anything in this job. So when we say all, we mean everybody, again, on this job. And you'll get the little brief explanation of that again as you work through it. So now let's pause for a moment and talk about the benefits of having all your documentation online and why we need to upload everything, no matter how simple it may seem. Construction Online is a very inclusive platform. With the Construction Online program, you've got aspects of this system that are going to be helping you guys manage everything from first contact with a potential lead all the way through closeout and warranty work on your projects and everything in between. You're going to be putting together estimates. You're going to have schedules. You're going to have, if you're doing commercial work, you'll have submittals and transmittals, and all of us might have RFIs or punch lists or to-dos. There's a lot of places in here that you're going to be adding content. Almost all of them have an option to add attachments as well. So if we come into this project in project tracking and take a look here under to-dos, for example, we have several different to-dos that are in need of completion. And as we're working on these, we may decide to go into and start adding some of the additional information in here from our files section. So like in this case, if we're repairing some of the grout or the backsplash on a project, we may have a to-do that we need to go into and add something for. Install backsplash in kitchen. Now again, we have the ability to go through and assign anybody that we might need in this case. And when you go into and assign individuals, this information shows up for them in their game plans, as we talked about on Monday. Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday. So those game plans will show up and it'll outline everything that they need to pay attention to. You'll also have the ability, though, to come into and work with the attachments here. Adding attachments can happen in one of two ways. The easy way, the way that I tend to go with as often as I can, is to actually come into a folder on the computer itself, grab some of these files, and just drag them and drop them right here into the little attachments box. Again, super quick and easy. If you drag them and drop them in here, you'll see the little progress bar for the uploads. Once they're finished uploading, you can click create, and now we have a to-do with pictures. It's fantastic. Now the other option, though, when you're creating some of these to-dos on the attachment screen is to actually go to the add new attachment and pull them directly from your projects in Construction Online. So again, if we're looking through some of the information for some of our jobs, you may want to go to and grab some of the additional documentation that you've already got on the project and attach it right in here as well. This, by the way, is the far easier solution when you're working with something like a phone. If you're using an iPhone or an Android device or something like that, it is far easier to have the documents already in the project and just attach them to the task from here, save for maybe pictures that you take from the app. Now the app does still have the ability to add attachments or add photos directly, so if you make it to do and you need to take some pictures, like before and after pictures for work that's being completed, couldn't be easier. Just go in there, make the task, switch over to camera mode, snap some pictures. If you're doing it from the attachments portion, they're automatically attached to the to-do, and you can go from there. Otherwise, again, as we're working with this, we need to give this task a name still. Get signatures for contracts. And then that one's included as well. Now again, these still have images, so if we need to preview them, all we have to do is just click on the file from here, and it'll open up the preview. We can see what's going on. All of the attachments are also being added back into the project as well, because of course they're part of the job. So if it's already in the project and you're grabbing the attachments, we're set. If they're not on the job yet, when you add the attachments, they get added to the project again as normal. This applies through all the features. If you guys are working with daily logging and you're posting logs here, like work logs, or you're adding in before and after photos again, you'll actually be able to come into and, same as before, add your attachments here. You click Add Attachment, you grab your next set of backsplash files. We've got a ton of backsplash stuff. And then you can just post what happened. I did the work by myself for 2 hours. Install backsplash, splash, and so on and so forth. And again, as you post these or save them, all of this becomes available here as well. Now, interestingly enough, Jordan, you were talking to me earlier about somebody who was trying to, they were working on, I think, printing the screen that had all the pictures in the Photostream.
Right. Yeah, someone was telling me that they were hoping to use the Photostream option, which we had briefly touched on, as kind of a report, like a progress report, to show off the photos that they had been taking as they worked through the job from day to day. And we both had a brief discussion, and we both landed on the same idea at the same time. That sounds like a perfect use of the project log report.
Absolutely. And again, part of the reason why I would draw your attention to that is while Photostream does a fantastic job of showing you that history, the printout from that is not as professional looking, I would say, as I would like. And part of the reason why I say that is because if you're just giving a client a printout of a lot of photos, it can be a little confusing. They don't have enough information to piece this together. And so, again, as we're working through this, I highly recommend taking a look at some of the features here, like the daily logs, and encouraging your team to work within this, because here you can actually generate a project log report, which includes those attachments. You can see a little preview for it here, and it's very clean. It does an incredible job of describing what's happening, and there's no room for misunderstanding in this case. You're telling them, or painting the picture, so to speak, snapping the picture for exactly what you want them thinking and seeing and viewing, with no misunderstandings as we're working for this. And that's really what document management is all about. We want to share this information, but we don't want them to have to figure it out. So in this case, if we put it into the daily logs, we can tell them the exact story that we want to tell them without making it difficult for them to understand what's going on. As again, after all, we're the professionals. We know how to do this. In this case, it's just a matter of putting it together in a way that they would understand. And so again, you'll have all of those attachments and the images and everything like that available in these printouts or these reports. As an added update to that too, I would mention that some of the larger files, like PDFs or contracts, they'll show as an attachment in here, which is then in turn really easy to just hand them the additional printout for the attachment and say, this is this file, you can see where it's attached here. It's almost kind of akin to the Schedule A and Schedule B in our contracts. This just allows us to highlight where this file or this spec sheet or whatever it might be is included or involved in this as well. So you've got some of those options in here too. Now, at this point too, this attachments function or feature is available across all of the major features within Construction Online. So as we're looking at project tracking, to-dos, daily logs, and punch lists, they all use attachments. Under communication, areas like announcements or RFIs, submittals, they all have the ability to add attachments. Of course, in financials, we've got client selections. You need pictures here. You'll have change orders, again, same thing. Under calendars and schedules, a lot of these areas have an option to include some of those as well, although generally I find that if there are attachments, then you'll be working with the attachment in some way that would probably show up under project tracking, unless you guys are having a meeting over a contract, and then it might help. So most of this information can be attached, and you'll find that it's available in pretty much all areas. But I find that Redline Plan Room tends to be the winner here, because what you're doing with Redline in this case is you're actually pulling in a set of plans, and you're working with that set of plans here in Construction Online to, once again, describe in better detail what's happening, where, and why. Now, with Redline Plan Room, you actually have the ability to not only pin all of these features that you're working with in Construction Online. You can pin or attach to-dos, you can pin or attach change orders and selections. Here's some selections that I have here. There's a change order. Of course, you can see my scribblings or ramblings on here as well. But the most important part for me here is these attachment icons. And with the attachments, you can actually take a page or a sheet or a picture, everything. You can take all this information and you can attach it directly to a set of plans. Where we have found this gets the most use is when we're trying to provide guides or, again, spec sheets for some of the work that happens on the set of plans. In this case, you can attach the spec to the plans where it applies, make those things public, and then share this sheet with anybody who's involved using the project team option. So you can have a set of plans, an entire plan set, which is just specs. And you just go through and attach all the sheets and all the specs and everything like that. You can attach pictures of the products that they're supposed to order and use and so on and so forth. All of that can be done here, and you can make all of that information available once again as you're adding these attachments. Whenever your project team logs in to see it, they'll be able to access everything that you have shared without having to navigate too far away from here, so they can find out exactly what they're supposed to be working on. Now, of course, in Redline, much like the files and the photos themselves, we also give you the options to share these as well. And when you use this option to share, we are once again sending them a download link. So as you're using this share option, keep in mind that for the people who don't log in, you can send them links like so. For the people who do, they'll see everything they need just by logging in and pulling up the set of plans or the files or whatever it may be. All of it is readily accessible to them here, and they can access anything that you want them to, that you've allowed them to, either right here in Redline or once again back in the main project under Files, Photos, or really in this case, I suppose anywhere else that these things might be attached. Now, along those lines, I believe that this actually covers everything that we have for you to share. Of course, big takeaways in this case as you guys are working through it. All of Construction Online now has the ability to drag and drop both within or into the application itself. So as you guys are working within the browser, drag and drop everywhere. We want you guys to be using this because it's second nature anyway. In addition, as you guys are working your way through these, anything that you add to the project can be shared automatically using these live link files, or folders rather, or you can share them individually simply by right-click and copy. As you guys are using these files, anything that you add can be attached. Anything that you attach is automatically added. So this information is also going to be very easily or readily accessible, and you can see that timeline or that photo stream or file stream very, very easily just by switching over to the area where it applies and just taking a look at the history of contributions from all of your team or from the people that you guys are working with. Again, it's extremely easy to get this information together, and it's so simple to be able to come in here and get a pulse for what's happening on the projects themselves. So as you guys are working within this platform, you'll be able to see everything that's happening very, very easily just using these streams of information or going in and taking a look at those files and folders. And one last thing that I want to add that I think is probably one of the most underutilized features or functions in Construction Online is the ability to right-click and edit almost any PDF available within Construction Online. It doesn't just have to be PDFs, by the way. It works on text files, works on additional documents and things like that too. As you guys are working through this, this functions just like our OnPoint platform in ConstructionSuite Desktop. You have the ability to get into and modify documentation. You can adjust, or I mean, it's a word processor. It's just like Microsoft Word Online or like a Google Doc. You can come into and you can make changes to anything. You can highlight, delete, move, adjust, whatever you guys need to. We started with a simple toolbar to give you the most commonly used features for these processes. but we can expand it out to a full toolbar if you guys would like to do anything complicated. So you have all of the tools and the features and the standard operation and everything like that. So as you guys are working through this, take a look at this. It's a fantastic way for creating your own forms that you guys want your guys filling out. Upload it to the project in Construction Online, and when they make those changes, they can actually save it back to the project. And when they save it back to the project, they could then attach it to their logs or to their posts or their to-dos or whatever it might be from there. So again, this has proven to be a fantastic solution to any of those needs where you have to have a specific form filled out, because in this case, you can literally put the form on there and then fill it out directly from the website. So again, take a look for that. It's a great, great feature that's available already in Construction Online Classic for all of you. And of course, we've expanded on this in Construction Online New as well to make it a little bit easier to work with and to get back into the files and the folders and everything like that as you need it. Now again, with that, I believe that we've covered everything. Jordan, do you have any last thoughts that we need to add before we go into questions?
Yeah, well, it's less about the specific features and more about what comes next, because I'll tell you, an organized project makes your life 1,000 times easier. If you haven't set up a folder structure for your projects, now you don't have an excuse. It's way too easy to come in here and set up the folders for your internal team, to set up folders for clients if you do work with clients, to set up folders for your subcontractors and suppliers. We've just made it too easy. There's no excuse anymore. So don't let anything stop you from reorganizing and setting yourself up for success moving into 2019.
I agree. And again, as you're working through this, when you find that folder structure, repeatability is key. Add it to your project template. Put together a project template if you guys don't have one already. This is a huge, huge thing that I would love to have available. And as you guys are working through it, again, if you come back up to the company overview, you'll see all of that and more available in company projects, where you can set up every aspect to a template that you might want. You can put together estimates, you can put together estimate templates rather, schedule templates, folder structures, selection sets. If you guys wanted to go ahead and create all your selection categories and subcategories and have that preloaded in your project template, please do. All of that information can be made available to you guys immediately when you guys are working with these project templates. And this saves you even more time and effort because you've already found the recipe for success. Now we give you the easy ability to apply that to everything else that you guys work with. The Midas touch, as it were. All right. Well, again, at this point, we're going to shift over to questions. So we'll start working through that battery of questions as they come up. For those of you guys who are happy to see this and want to dive right in right now, I want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. This, of course, again, has been our webinar today covering Document Management Modernized. Don't forget to join us on Wednesday as we take a look into some of the additional features with Construction Online. Let's see if we can pull up that title. Okay. Yeah, so Wednesday, February 6th, again, 3 o'clock Central, we're going to be taking a look at staying on track with scheduling and calendars, where we do a deep dive into schedules and the online Gantt chart scheduling system and how it shows up on our company calendar or the project-specific calendar, and how we can kind of go through and see who's responsible for what and how they can see all of this information in there as well. We also have on Friday, February 8th, boosting your bottom line with new estimating. We're going to take a look at some of the new estimating features and how you can actually now go into and customize your views, get different reports out of them, take advantage of some of the new QuickBooks integration features as well for doing things like combining actual costs, both pulled in from the accounting system or that you've manually added, or both. We can take a look at some of these great new features and how they apply on the reports and everything. Again, that's Friday, February 8th at 3 o'clock Central. And if you guys haven't talked to us yet about the International Builder Show, we're 2 weeks away at this point. So in, what are we, starting February 19th, we're going to be in Las Vegas, smack dab in the middle of the International Builder Show. IBS is going to be hosted in Vegas this year, and we're in attendance, and we're going to be taking a look at all of this and more. We even have some trusted partners that are going to be joining us, like Kevin from MyPlan Tables. He's going to be joining us. He's bringing one of his tables with him, and these things are incredibly impressive. You can see all of Construction Online available through a large touchscreen table and see how all these pieces are going to be working together as well. So if you guys have a chance, talk to us, let us know if you're going to be there. We'd love to have you stop by and talk with you guys in person, one-on-one. And then we can finally put some faces to these questions. We're going to be going through some of the questions that Sydney has kind of brought to the forefront for us. We don't want to miss anything, but of course, if we don't mention your question, maybe send it in again, or perhaps, if you guys are interested, reach out to us on either by phone or email or chat. You can reach us by phone at 1-800-700-8321. Via email at support or info at uda1.com, support at uda1.com, info at uda1.com, or a number of other uda1.coms. And you can also get us by chat if you go to the main webpage, constructiononline.com, and just pull open the chat box. It's there, it's open. If you have a quick question, by all means let us know. Or more importantly, since we have you here right now, send in those questions via the GoToMeeting interface or the GoToWebinar interface. Now, along those lines, we'll dive in. I had a couple of questions earlier on in the webinar, but I think we've covered most of those. One of the questions, though, was about security and encryption. Is that provided for document transmission and storage? Well, we certainly encrypt everything that we store. And all of that encryption and storage is up to Amazon specs. Of course, we partner with Amazon, so all the file storage happens there. It is heavily encrypted and stored at an offsite location, so you'll never lose access to your files or documents. And as you guys are working through that as well, the storage and encryption that they provide meets or exceeds any of the standards that I've been brought to date, to include any of the DoD projects that our clients have worked on. So if you guys do have questions or concerns, all of the Amazon spec is available. We can provide that as well if you guys need to know how the encryption works. But beyond that, again, it's all securely stored and transmitted so that you guys don't have to worry about any data breaches. Let's see. We also have a question here about getting files into the system, it looks like. Typically use my phone to take photos. Then it goes to the phone gallery, and then Dropbox, and then my computer, and then my file server, and then all around the world. And then, is there an easier way? Yes, absolutely. Again, the Construction Online app gives you the ability to upload files directly into the projects, or you can pull them from the album on your device, from your phone's gallery, directly into your projects on Construction Online. These are both options. We also have an option if somebody sends you a file via Dropbox. You can actually come up to the project's file section here, and when you choose the option to upload a new file, cloud file storage is one of the options. So you can pull those actually directly from Dropbox, from Google Drive, from Box.net, from what else do we have here? OneDrive, a number of other places as well. Or if they're getting synced to your device, you can pull them from the device right here as well. Or again, my personal favorite, drag and drop everything. So grab it from the computer, pull it in here, and you're good to go. I've also noticed a couple of questions here about ConstructionSuite 10. Great questions. Wrong place, guys. But as we mentioned in the webinar series where we were kind of highlighting some of the things to look for as we're rolling out ConstructionSuite 10, the rollout process is basically being finalized right now. We're going to be pushing it out. We want to make sure, of course, as always, that the upgrade process is as simple and automated as it possibly can be so that all of us have an easy time to work with. As such, keep an eye out for the update prompt that you guys will be getting through ConstructionSuite. When everything is ready to go live, you'll see that pop-up prompt show up for you guys. And if you guys have multiple users in the office or multiple installations, make sure that everybody else is aware when you guys are doing that update. You want to try to make sure that everybody updates at the same time so nobody gets left behind. So again, the second you guys see those updates, get in there and take a look. Now, as far as timing is concerned, when can you see it? Well, I was going to say that depends on a number of factors. As always, we try to make sure that we don't bog down anybody's updates, so we try not to do them all at the same time. But if you guys are interested in getting access to it sooner rather than later, I believe we're actually going to be releasing it for a few select clients this week, more next week, and even more after that. So again, we expect everybody to be on ConstructionSuite 10 by the beginning of next quarter. And so keep an eye out for those updates. Guys, we want to make sure that you guys get it as soon as possible while keeping it as simple as possible as well. Now, as an added bonus to this, I believe that most of you guys are Total Care subscribers. At least I hope you are. So for those of you who have ConstructionSuite, keep in mind that we always like to prioritize our active Total Care subscribers in this upgrade process as well. So for those of you guys who have Total Care, of course, as always, you get special treatment, a fast pass, if you will. So make sure that you guys have all of that information. And don't forget, too, that you guys do have options with this Total Care subscription to, for some of you at least, to prepay for discounts. So if you guys are interested in subscribing at a yearly rate, which usually gets you a few months free, give us a call today. I'm sure Sydney would love to hear from you guys. And as you guys are working with those services or those subscriptions, again, it just helps. It makes everything a little faster and easier, and you'll have access to myself and my team of specialists, and we can help with that upgrade and teach you any of the great new tricks that you guys will have access to in ConstructionSuite 10 as well. Granted, some of those pale in comparison to some of the new changes in Construction Online. We were actually taking a look this morning, not to segue into this, but we were taking a look at the list of updates and enhancements from Classic to New this morning. And we got into the thousands before we had to call that meeting complete. But it's a massive, massive list of enhancements and just ways to make everything that you guys are working with better. So if you guys are curious about that, let us know. Give us a call. We'd love to share. I mean, we're in the middle of sharing, I guess, right now. So beyond that, though, it looks like that's about all the time that we have for today. I'm getting waved off at this point. And Jordan's getting a little antsy to get back on the phones and talk to some of you guys. So once again, we do certainly appreciate you coming out to join us for the webinar today. Hopefully, again, we'll have a chance to talk to you guys next week. No, not next week. Wednesday, 3 o'clock Central. I'm trying to push this off too far. So again, if you guys have a chance to join us for that one, don't forget we'll be focusing on scheduling and calendars and how some of those enhancements with the new Construction Online are really going to change the way you guys work. Resource scheduling is going to be super simplified. You guys have a ton of fantastic features for getting in there and figuring out who is where, doing what, and we'll be taking a look at that again as a deep dive on Wednesday, so join us for that. And until then, once again, guys, I hope you all have a fantastic afternoon and a great Tuesday, and then hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to you guys on Wednesday. And until then, take care.